So this is going to be a podcast style video, if that's what you want to call it. And I decided I'm going to start doing these when I want to cover a variety of topics that I don't really feel require a full edited video, or topics that I don't think really apply to the theme of my channel. And I want to do this because I find myself having a lot of thoughts on things that I don't really feel are video worthy, but I still want to tell you guys what I think about those things, and you still ask what I think about those things. So I know some of you are interested in stuff like this, or my opinions on things that I wouldn't normally make videos on. And I won't have a bunch of slides or pictures or anything on these videos like regular videos. I'll just be giving my opinion on different things and sharing personal life updates as well. So as you guys know, we have been working on the new DDS site, adding some new features. I would say we have about 20% more to go on the site. I know you guys have been waiting, but it's a lot of work. Again, I love doing it, but I'll be honest, it's a lot of work. And I'm just going to say this: managing my time and dividing my time and time blocking has really been difficult for me lately. I've also been putting a lot of time into a feminine project that I think I'll be sharing on my femininity channel. I don't know. It's kind of personal, so I don't know. I won't say what it is just yet because I don't know if I'm going to share it, but that's been taking up a lot of my time as well. Then there's music. Songwriting is a mandatory part of my life. That's something I have to do. So that takes up time. Then there's, of course, my relationship, my friends, my family. Those are all things that take up my time. And as much as I just want to be alone and do my own thing nonstop sometimes, I do have to make time for other people. I do have to make time for my loved ones because my relationships are important to me. And I do sometimes neglect my relationships. I've said that before. And even though it's necessary to withdraw sometimes, I can be too distant if I get carried away, because your girl never gets bored. I am my own company. I will always find something to do in my own company. Sometimes I work better alone. A lot of times I work better alone. I withdraw a lot, but I can become too distant if I get carried away. So that is something I've been consciously working on as well. I say all that to say that sometimes YouTube and social media has to take a back seat, you guys. It has to take a back seat, and you have to live your life. And I do that often. So I hope you guys are doing the same. That is why I'm saying this. Do not make social media your life. Get out and live. Get out and live, you guys. It's good for your mental health, okay? Your mental and your physical health. So anyway, let's discuss the first topic on my list. I first want to discuss Black men being mad at the hoes and the gold diggers they created. And I want to talk about this because for the last month or so, they have been all over the internet mad and raging against the women that they used to love. And the women that they helped create their careers and helped to make famous, okay? They were mad at Cardi B and Megan for creating WAP and, quote unquote, promoting hoe culture. And, what about the kids when they didn't care about the kids when they was doing it? You know what I'm saying? They was mad at Megan for exposing Tory Lanez for shooting her. They were mad at Cardi B for divorcing Offset and asking for child support. And they're also mad at Dr. Dre's wife for divorcing him and asking for $2 million a month. And I'm laughing because I find it comical because Black men, any other time, they love these women. They love these women. And these women would have never gotten where they are without the support of Black men, as well as the Black man's blueprint of hoe culture over the years. This has been something that they have heavily promoted in their work, in their movies, their music, everything. Black men love hoes, and now that you can't control them, you don't like them anymore. Or the minute you can't control them, you don't like them anymore. And you're pretending that you had nothing to do with it. It's so disingenuous, you guys. It's so disingenuous. Then when the biracial or mixed women in particular burn a Black man, then they suddenly become Black women, right? Then it becomes all Black women, and it becomes, an issue with black women all over. And it's like, no, you love these long hair, thick red bones. You love these, biracial women. You constantly put them on a pedestal. You constantly separate them from most other black women. You constantly say it's your preference and we can't tell you who to like. So, don't now when they do something wrong, make this an all black woman issue. No, separate them from us like you always have. I mean, do you guys understand what I'm saying? Like, don't try to lump them in with us when they do something you don't like. It doesn't work like that. You get with these women, you make them your trophy wives, knowing that they're only there for your resources. And then you want to get mad when they divorce you and take your money. And I'm sorry, black men, but this is what you signed up for. It's an exchange, if you ask me. These men, they wanted these women for arm candy. The women agreed in exchange for money. That's a mutual agreement. And now you're mad because you got burnt. And y'all know I'm team hypergamy. So, I'm not faulting these women for what they're doing. And I would never encourage black women not to prioritize money, when vetting a man. So by no means am I trying to sell black women as the women who hold black men down and, say that black men should choose us because we don't care about money. No, I'm not doing that. But at the same time, I'm not going to take responsibility for this when these men don't even date black women. Leave us out of it. This has nothing to do with black women. In reality, when it comes to Cardi B and Dr. Dre's wife specifically, black women have nothing to do with that. These women are not black. And again, black men, you know how to separate them from us any other time. So do it now. That's my problem with this. Don't say, this is what black women do and black women are screwing us over. No, you don't even date black women. Any other time, you don't even like us. Any other time, you're talking about how we're jealous of your preference. So, don't try to pull us into this when, we don't matter any other time. No, the exoticals, as y'all like to call them, the exoticals that you prefer are screwing you over. Let's get this right. Let's get this right. And be clear, I want to say something else. This also isn't me caping for biracials or mixed women. Just like someone said in my last video, she was like, oh, why are you defending Cardi? And, sometimes I legit get confused on the way you guys comprehend things. Because it's like, listen, I'm a woman, right? Sometimes I'm going to use other women who just so happen to be non-black as hypergamous case studies. That doesn't mean I'm caping for them or making them honorary black women or anything like that. Usually I go out my way to say that they're not black women and what the differences are in X, Y, and Z. But sometimes, as a woman, I'm going to use other women as case studies. That doesn't mean that I'm caping for them or I'm defending them or I'm, sympathizing with them or anything like that. Please, ladies, I beg you. Let's move past the binary, simplistic thinking. We are smarter than that, or we should be anyway. And just because I say, I'm not going to celebrate somebody's divorce, I don't care how much I don't like somebody, I'm not going to celebrate their divorce. So, but that also doesn't mean I agree with everything that they say or everything that they do or, anything like that. So it's like, guys, come on, stop. When it comes to Dr. Dre's wife asking for $2 million a month or $2.5 million, I think it was, I'm sure there's more to this story, but this is something I think black women should sit out, to be honest with you. I think that we should stay silent on this. I did hear that Dr. Dre is abusive and he's controlling. He kicked his wife out and now he's hiding his assets and he's, moving money around and transferring property they own together without her knowledge or consent. It's getting real ugly. The divorce is getting really ugly. But again, I mean, it was a mutual agreement. That is what both of them signed up for. And now that it's not working out, they're doing what a lot of people do when they go through divorce. They're trying to protect themselves. And I am not in defense of either party. Like I said, she's not a black woman. I have no dog in this fight. Black women, we have no dog in this. We don't have anything to do with Dr. Dre and his estranged wife. We don't. We have nothing to do with this. So, I don't get black women being mad at her and, black men blaming this on black. We have nothing to do with this. And any black woman getting mad at her on behalf of Dr. Dre, are you serious? Black women, sometimes I'll be like, what's wrong with us? I don't understand. And all I can say is what I've always said, ladies, in terms of, her asking for 2.5 million. And then this is me being a woman. I'm not saying this to defend her or cape for her or anything, but all I can say is what I've always said. Always have a plan B. And again, we don't know the details. I would find it really hard to believe that this woman was married to an abusive, wealthy man for 25 years, 24 years, something like that. I would find it really hard to believe that she never put some money up on the side. Like, I don't want to believe that she's that dumb. I don't really think she needs the money is what I'm saying. I think she's angry. I think she's trying to get revenge. And she's out for blood. You know, she wants payback for all of the years she put in. You know, the kids, I think they have kids. I don't even know. I didn't even look into it. I don't know if they have kids. I'm assuming they have kids. But, you know, and all the abuse she's endured, she wants payback. She's mad. Okay? But if this woman wasn't smart enough to keep a nest egg for herself, I would be really surprised. Especially if they have kids. I would be very, very surprised if she didn't put some money up on the side, some property or something. I would be very, very surprised. But if this was the case, then let this be a lesson, ladies. Forever is not promised. Forever isn't promised. And I really think unmarried hypergamous women like myself, and I mean, really hypergamous, we're not married, so technically we're not hypergamous, but I should say unmarried women who date up, right? Okay, that's better, right? Like myself, we understand this better than married women because we're not banking on a permanent relationship, right? Being married and having your name on the deed or the life insurance policy and other important documents, that is necessary. But outside of that, you do need to create a personal stash, ladies. And I've said this before, but married or not, you need to be saving money and or investing your money. Okay? You need to be getting valuable gifts from men that you can get money from in the future if you need it. Jewelry, real jewelry, okay, gold, you know, designer handbags, clothes, high-end art that appreciates in value or valuable antiques, stuff like that. When I broke up with my ex for the final time, because, you know, honey, if you've been listening to my channel, you know, we had been through it. And so far, he's been probably the most well-off guy that I've dated. But when we finally broke up for the last time, I sold a lot of designer shit on eBay that he got me, about $30,000 worth. A lot of it was dated, so I wasn't attached to it anyway. And that, you know, that's not a ton of money. I'm not bragging because I know y'all swear I'm bragging about everything. I'm not bragging. But that money was nice to have, you know. And before I even knew the word hypergamy, I made sure to save money. I made sure to save money anytime I got some from a man. Just be smart with hypergamy, ladies. Like, don't fumble the bag. It's not enough to just, you know, get the money and spend it. Like, you have to be smart with the money. And I know many of us women have this fairy tale idea of marriage and, you know, we think it's going to last forever. We think it's all about love and fuzzy feelings. But ladies, forever isn't promised and feelings can change. You know, they change all the time. So make sure you're secure outside of your marriage or relationship. All the time, make sure that you're secure. And this actually reminds me of a fairly recent story I saw about Naomi Campbell being sued for $3 million by one of her wealthy ex-boyfriends. He's a Russian billionaire, Vlad something, I forget his last name. And he said that the lawsuit is for money he loaned her and for some personal property of his that she kept. And I read that it's been 7 years since they broke up. So honestly, this sounds like some bitter ex-boyfriend stuff. I don't know what Naomi did to that man, but he's mad. I don't know why he's mad. I don't know why he's bitter, but he doesn't need that money back and those personal items back. He is just trying to make an example out of her. And, you know, I see some black men online making videos about it. Like her white billionaire boyfriends never married her. Naomi Campbell strikes me as a type that doesn't want to get married. She just wants to be free and do her own thing and, you know, get as much as she can from these men and move on. Like, she just seems like a woman who really lives on her own terms and doesn't do what society expects of her. Like, do you really think if Naomi wanted marriage and kids, she couldn't have them by now? Like, these men, it's like they're so obsessed to see black women, especially black women who swirl. They want to see them fail so bad. And if they're not married or they don't have kids, then it's because the men didn't want it with them. It's not because they didn't want it. It's never possible for a woman just to not want it. Like, do y'all really think all of us want to be dealing with snotty noses and shitty diapers and annoying men up under us for 24? Do you really think all women want to deal with that? No, we don't. But, I'm not shaming any woman who does want it. But I say that to say that all women don't want that. And Naomi Campbell strikes me as the type that doesn't want it. And I mean, she doesn't need it either. She's fine. But, I highly doubt that he needs the money. He's just trying to make an example out of her. Unless he can prove that he actually loaned her the money as opposed to gifting her the money, I don't see how he's going to win this. But he is a Russian billionaire, so he might win. He might win. You never know. And I know these are millionaires and billionaires, but again, ladies, use this as an example. Like, I would say, no matter the class, never ask men for a loan, because they could sue you for it after they break up with you or after you break up with them. Never tell a man you'll pay him back. Only ask for money and items you intend to keep, and make that clear to him. And it doesn't matter if you're married or unmarried. And speaking of marriage, I want to talk about the married Black women who criticize the Black hypergamy movement online. And I want to first acknowledge the married Black women who support the movement. If you want to call it that. Like, I hesitate on calling it a movement because I don't want to seem cult-like or, too cliquish. I don't like that. But it is kind of a movement, But there are many married Black women who support the movement. There are many of you. You've called into my program when I've, held live call-ins. I've seen you in the comment section. So by no means am I talking about all married Black women who follow me. But recently and over the years, there have been a good number of married Black women who are usually pro-Black male. They usually get offended by any criticism that we have about Black men. And they like to negatively critique and respond to me and other women like me. And they'll say things like, oh, well, I'm married and I got the ring and, you're trying to get where I'm at. And I'm like, no, not quite. Not quite, sis. And I'm not saying this to be mean, but, and listen, marriage is a beautiful thing. If that's something you want, if that's one of your goals, if you consider that to be an accomplishment, that is great. I'm not knocking that at all. Especially if you're married to a good man and you're in a hypergamous marriage, brag about it, flaunt it all over the place. That is perfectly fine. I love to see it. I love to see Black women happily married. I love to see that. But I do notice that the Black women who usually brag about being married when addressing women in these spaces and hypergamy spaces, they're usually not married to high value men. And I want to specify, like, the Black women who have attitudes about it, who are trying to like come down on us and, say the movement is trash. And, they have all of these heavy negative criticisms about us. So far, all of those type of women, the married Black women that I've seen with the criticism about, the Black hypergamy movement online, they're not married to high value men. And that's perfectly fine if those men make them happy. If they're low value men make them happy. But when you're bragging about being married to women who are unmarried and are hypergamous, or women who are unmarried and date up and date men who make more than your husband, that's where I have to remind you that you don't have the marriage that we want. You don't have the relationship that we want. It's like waving a Cracker Jack ring in my face, trying to make me jealous when I don't want a Cracker Jack ring. And when both times, I've been offered marriage, I haven't got a Cracker Jack ring. So it's like, at what point does that mean to me that you're married when you have a Cracker Jack ring? And listen, I'm not trying to force my opinion on other women. If you prioritize love over money and you're with a low value man who makes you happy, then great. And I'm going to do another video on this, but I defined low value in the comment section of my last video. You guys were trying to argue with me, and I don't like how people are lumping all of these definitions into low value and high value. The term high value, low value for men in the hypergamy movement it started to define men with money. That's it, and that's all. Character, all of that stuff is separate, which is why I separated it from low quality. And I think that's very, very important, because now you have a bunch of dusties and their cheerleaders, coming in and trying to, squeeze everybody into the movement. Y'all know we hate definitions in the Black community, especially. Like, everything has to be so vague. We can't define who's Black. We can't define what's high value. We can't define femininity. Nothing can be defined. And so I'm sick of that. So it's like, we need to crack down on these definitions. So it is what it is. And I don't think it's too hard to separate value from over character, when it comes to men. If the money is not there, you can't be high value. It doesn't matter how good your character is. You cannot be high value, period. It is what it is. But, if you're with a low value man who makes you happy, then great. But you can't make other women who want high value men envious of your relationship just because you got them to give you a ring. Like, for us, it doesn't just stop at marriage. For us, marriage is not enough. It has to be a certain, the man has to be in a certain tax bracket for us to be envious of that, or even, I'm not envious of even a woman who has a man who makes more than mine. Hey, get it, sis. Get it, but I'm especially not going to be envious or, jealous of a woman who has a low value man. I'm sorry, sis, but we don't want to be married to a man like your husband, and I was watching this one girl recently, talk all this shit about, the hypergamy movement online. And, she threw some shots in there about my channel and all this stuff. And, she's really, really hard on Black women. Like, her channel is all about, basically just critiquing Black women and what we do wrong. Right. And she's pro Black man. And her husband, he's online doing the exact opposite. So it's really strange to me how, her husband is not in this conversation at all. At all. He's on some totally other shit. He's not on no save the Black community shit. He's not critiquing, other Black men. It's always their women who are the attack dogs. But the man, he ain't saying nothing. And if that doesn't speak volumes to you, like, why are you on here doing all this hollering, but your man ain't? You doing all this correcting of Black women, but your man is not correcting Black men. That's strange. That's strange. And he's not high value. And it's always women who have men like that online wagging their finger at Black women. You know what I mean? It seems to be either women like that or women who, are on some save the Black community, some on their H0EZ stuff, Admittedly, I was part of that crowd. I was, I can save the Black community. We can save the Black community. We just need to fix this and fix that, right? But yeah, I'm like, sis, we don't want to be married to a man like your husband. Simply dating a 6-figure boyfriend or fiance, or being happily single, to be honest with you, beats being married to a broke or below average man. Beats having kids with a broke or below average man. That beats dealing with a man like that any day in my eyes. And that may sound harsh, but it's the truth. There is no way any woman with a below average earning husband can make me envious with her ring. I don't have it in me to be envious of that. I'd rather be single and dating men with money forever than have your ring, sis. And that's not me being funny, but it's the truth. And some women, they try to insult me. They're like, oh, you're just a sugar baby. You're not married. And listen, if I were a sugar baby, I would tell you guys. I promise I would, but I'm not. But even if I was, you can't shame happy sugar babies either who don't want to be married or don't want marriage with a man like yours. You can't do that. You can't shame women who don't want your life. You can't. And it is some women out there who really prioritize the money and the resources over marriage and family. And that is what it is. You can't make those type of women envious of you with your low value man. And this reminds me of a situation I had with a fellow YouTuber a while back. And she said, well, how are you going to shun women who are on the level where you want to be? And it's like, one, we're both middle class or upper middle class. Where I'm from, I would be considered upper middle class. And two, you have to be utilizing and benefiting from your network for me to want your life. If you haven't figured out how to maximize your position, with the help of your network or your circle, then what level are you on? Like, you can't be taking donations like me and then turn around and say, do you know the circles I run in? Do you know who I am? You're taking donations like me. You're on Patreon, sis. Like, many of us YouTubers, let me put it like this. Many of us YouTubers have celebrity friends. We know someone who has celebrity friends, or, we are part of or have access to affluent people. That's nothing new. But if you're not in their tax bracket or close to it, then you're not where I want to be. And some would say, well, you shouldn't burn bridges with anyone who knows affluent people. And I get the logic. I really do. I try to not burn in my real life. I try to not burn as many bridges as I can. But when it comes to this YouTube stuff, I need you guys to know the difference. When it comes to this YouTube stuff, the people who don't like me, they're not going to refer me to any of their affluent friends anyway. Furthermore, do you guys know how many celebrities and affluent people watch Black YouTube? They watch and listen to us. It's more than you think. Trust me. Black politics on social media is not a way to climb up the social ladder and become affluent for most people, which is why most people who do what I do, they don't get anywhere. They don't get too far, no matter who they know. We're too controversial, which is why I'm smart enough not to show my face. And this is why a lot of them who do show their face resent me for it, because they know they can't get much further than they are, because they've attached their names to controversial Black politics. So this is why I'm smart enough not to show my face until I get where I want to be. And maybe not even then. We'll see. And I don't care who feels the way about it. I'm not putting my face out there for y'all. And when I say y'all, you know who it's for. My supporters, I love you. But at the end of the day, is it worth me putting my livelihood on the line? No, it don't pay enough. Sorry. And, it's not my fault that some of these people realized that when it was too late. But a lot of them do resent me for that. Bottom line, don't brag about networks and knowing celebrities unless you are eating like they are. And don't brag about husbands to hypergamous minded women if you're not in a hypergamous marriage. Okay? Anyway, moving on from that rant, let's talk about Andrew Gillum coming out as bisexual. So there's a lot of conversation going on among Black women about dating bisexual men. And, I've talked about this on my channel before in other videos. A lot of you guys don't like me for it, but my opinion still stands. But in regards to Andrew and his wife and their situation, honestly, from the very beginning, I had a feeling that his wife knew Andrew was bisexual, which was confirmed in the Tamron Hall interview. She said, or I think Andrew said that, he told his wife years ago that he was bi. And there are some women out there that really don't care about their boyfriends or their husbands being bisexual as long as their needs are being met. And in Andrew's case, him and his wife probably felt like they had to do what they had to do to keep up with appearances, being that he was running for office. And just a side note on that, to the women who are trying to tie this into hypergamy and you're saying, well, see, this is what men of status do. This is why you need to be careful with hypergamy. I get what you're trying to say, but this could happen with men of any class, of any social standing. Broke men are bisexual. Everyday, average men are bisexual. Go look at Pornhub. And I'm not trying to be nasty, but look in Pornhub and type in gay men, or whatever you type in to see gay men fucking. Okay, ebony gay porn or something like that. Ebony gay. Type in those two keywords. Okay. Don't ask me how I've seen it. Listen, I have a best friend who's gay. Y'all stay out my business, but I've seen it. That is my point here. I have seen it. A lot of these men are everyday men. They're not just, men of high status. And honestly, I'm just getting tired of people trying to connect unrelated situations or unrelated lifestyle choices, to men of means, in an attempt to scare Black women out of hypergamy, because that is what it is, you guys. And I want the hypergamous minded women to understand this. Like, that is what they're trying to do. They're trying to scare you. Anytime something happens with the famous man, you know, and his wife, they're going to be like, see, and that's what these women have to deal with when they're hypergamous. There are broke women dealing with the same shit. Like, what are you talking about? Granted, there are some things that women who are married to men of means and status have to put up with that, you know, everyday women usually don't. There are some things. But if you don't think that poor women are average and everyday women aren't getting cheated on, you know, by their husbands or boyfriend with other men, wake up. Where have you been? Like, this happens all the time in the black church with normal everyday black people. So, like, this is not just a rich man thing or a rich black man thing, you guys. You know, it's like, cut it out, you guys. Cut it out, please. Like, stop trying. It's not working. It's not, where the scare tactics aren't working, okay? But either his wife tolerated his lifestyle to keep up with appearances, or maybe she's bisexual. You know, maybe she's into bi men. Maybe she's bi herself. Who knows? But I never got the impression from the very beginning that she was blindsided and didn't know about this. I do have a problem, you know, with men who lie to their wives about their sexuality. My thing is, be honest and give the wife or give the woman a choice, you know, whether she wants to be with a bisexual man. But if the wife knows and she's cool with it, then who am I to be mad for her? You know, at that point, I'm just like, okay, well, this is what you signed up for. And I do have empathy for her in terms of his public scandal maybe embarrassing her, because he was messy with it. He was very, very messy with it. But this is why I say that it's not homophobic for women to not prefer bisexual men, because time and time again, it does seem like bisexual men in particular prefer or enjoy sex better with men. And I say that again because I have a best friend who's a gay male. He deals with bisexual men all the time. Men who date, you know, both men and women. And, you know, I know that some bisexual women have their fun with other women on the side too. But it just seems like when men are bi, their sexual appetite for men overrides their sexual appetite for women. And it's the opposite. It seems to be the opposite for bisexual women. They seem to usually like men more than women. Obviously, I don't know all bisexual people, you know, male or female. So I'm not trying to generalize, but I keep seeing that pattern. You know, the more and more I've encountered people, whether they be bisexual, you know, pansexual or whatever, I keep seeing that pattern. It seems like with men who are fluid, you know, it seems like women aren't enough to satisfy them sexually anyway. And listen, if you're a woman who's okay with that, cool. You know, if you're okay with marrying a guy that, you know, you don't satisfy that much sexually, and, you know, maybe he, you know, has his fun with men every now and then, and you're okay with that, fine. Hey, I'm not in your business. That's cool too. But if you're not, I don't think you should be considered homophobic for that. You know what I mean? I don't think that's homophobic to not want that. You know, me personally, I want a man that I know I satisfy sexually, and that a woman and female body parts satisfy him sexually, and he doesn't need anything outside of that. You know what I'm saying? And I was talking to someone about this, and we were talking about how we both know white women who have dated bisexual men or are open to dating bisexual men, and black women are more closed-minded than anyone when it comes to this, and how we seem to be more naive to men being bisexual than other groups of women. And I agree that there are more black bisexual men in particular than we realize. I do think black women are naive when it comes to, we're even naive to the ones who are in church. You know, that I grew up with that. Like, you know, girls dating guys from church that they didn't know were bi, and I'm like, duh. You know, so I do think that black women seem to be a little bit more naive when it comes to that. And I'm sure many of us have dated bisexual men without knowing they were bisexual. But like I said before, it does seem like modern black women in particular have more understanding when it comes to bisexual men and black men and sexuality. We have more understanding for that. And when it comes to that, than dating out, which is crazy to me. Like, y'all will open your minds to dating bisexual black men, even if you don't really want to. And I say it's crazy because, some of us don't want to, right? But you'll override that just to have a black man, right? But you won't open your minds to dating non-black men. It's like, my point is, we will compromise and make exceptions on everything if it means to have a black man. Just to say that we have a black man. But we'll have the highest standards for non-black men. We'll never date a bisexual non-black man. And we'll probably make fun of any black woman who dated a bisexual non-black man, especially if he's white. Let a black woman date a white bisexual man and be open with it. Y'all gonna make fun of her, right? But with black men, we negotiate. We're starting to anyway. A lot of modern, younger black women seem to be negotiating with their sexuality. And my thing is, that's fine. I mean, if you're just cool with that. If you don't mind a bisexual man and you never cared about that, cool. But if you're negotiating because there's already a shortage of black men to date and marry, and you're desperate, if you're negotiating out of desperation, I do think that's problematic. I think that you might want to open your mind beyond black men and reconsider, or at least be honest with yourself with why you're negotiating on that. Okay. So moving on to the last topic, Jessica Krug. I think that's how you pronounce it. A lot of you wanted me to do a video on Jessica Krug. She is the Black Studies professor who hid that she was a white woman, basically Rachel Dolezal 2.0. And I just didn't feel compelled to make a video. And I didn't feel compelled because, frankly, this is a 2016 conversation for me. At least the point at which you guys are in the conversation is 2016 for me. And y'all know I don't mind beating a dead horse. You know I don't mind repeating myself over and over again. So it's not that. But to hear black people finally saying that there needs to be a cutoff for blackness, to hear y'all just now getting to that part of the conversation, I'm like, y'all late, and this is boring. And some of these people, by the way, are the same people who admonished me for saying that blackness needs to have a cutoff a few years ago, or 4 years ago, whenever that was. But whatever, we all change, we all evolve. I did too on certain things, so whatever. But to see them having panels talking about how we need to redefine blackness, that is hilarious to me. I'm like, hello, duh, that is what I and very few others have been saying for years now. Some people even before me. Everybody cannot be black, you guys. And when you refuse to define what that is, and you try to include everybody, when you refuse to define what blackness looks like, you leave the door open for anybody to come in. You leave the door open for anybody to come in, claim blackness, exploit it, and take your black opportunities. They keep doing it because we allow it. And see, when it comes to colorism, what I say, it usually always comes back full circle. And even the people who are fighting me are forced to come back and come to the same conclusion. And now y'all are, on panels talking about we need to make a cutoff. But y'all was cursing Chrissie out for trying to say that a long time ago. But okay, I'm glad y'all are here. But when y'all really ready to define blackness in America, honestly, because you know what most black Americans look like. And I'm talking about Americans specifically because we have the biggest problem with that because of our history, the one drop rule and all that stuff. So I know where it comes from, but we have the main issue when it comes to that. So that's why I'm narrowing it down to black Americans. Y'all know what we look like on average. So when y'all are for real about defining blackness, let me know, because y'all still ain't for real. Y'all just talking about we need to do it. I don't know what that looks like, but we need to do it. Yeah, okay. Well, until you know what it looks like, until you know how to create those boundaries, until you know how to make that cutoff, then you'll see more Jessica Krugs and Rachel Dolezals, and that's just what it is. So that's all I have to say about that. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed my first podcast style video. Let me know what you think down in the comments section. And also let me know what other topics you want me to cover. This was fun. A little bit more raw and kind of a little bit more messy than usual. But I I like where this is going. So yeah, let me know what you think down in the comment section, and I'll catch up with you in the next video.